How's it going, everyone? Today is supposed to be the last video wrapping up the 8.4-inch Uconnect install. We were going to be enabling the CarPlay option as well as the backup camera, but that didn't quite work out as planned. I was filming everything, but I ran into a lot of issues, some wiring issues. So I just put the camera down, took a few days to figure out what the problem was, and it was indeed the wiring was incorrect. I had to find some diagrams online and get everything straightened out, but it's working now. So unfortunately I don't have that footage for you, but I want to take you inside the truck, show you more or less what I did, and hopefully you can avoid those problems. Please excuse the mess, guys. Like I said, it's been a crazy past couple of days trying to figure out all this wiring, so I have tools and everything everywhere. But as far as the Apple CarPlay, first things first, you are going to need a 2018 or 19 classic Uconnect radio. Those are the only ones that have the Apple CarPlay option. If you have an older model, it does not have Apple CarPlay. So once that's checked off, what you're gonna have to do is get the media hub, which I have right here, the USB plugs. That's also from a 2018 Ram. And just to make everything work correctly, I have this plastic liner for the jump seat from a 2018 as well, just to make everything fit, because this is a different size, it's a different shape from the original that was in here. So while it will work, you're gonna have a big opening or a big gap, and I didn't want that, so I replaced this liner. And you're also going to need an adapter. The plug that you have from factory, if it's a 2013 to 17, it's not gonna connect directly to this. So I found an adapter online on the Ram forums. Just search around. It's a very nice adapter, real nice harness, done very professionally, and it adapts your body harness to this new media hub. So really, I kind of did this for nothing, because I decided recently that I'm going to be switching to a console, center console. So I'm probably going to have to redo this whole thing again, but it's no big deal. So as far as getting the liner installed, it is a little bit of a pain. You're gonna have to take apart this whole jump seat, just about. All this plastic trim has to come off. This fabric has to come off, and it'll reveal some screws in there. If you search on YouTube, there is a video that explains everything. It was really helpful, and that's the same one I used. It's not hard, just a little time consuming. But once that's done, everything will work, everything will connect, and you will have the CarPlay. So as far as the backup camera goes, I did have the OEM Mopar kit. So really, if you follow the instructions, everything is included there. It walks you through everything. So there's really no need to walk you through every single step. But the one thing I wanted to point out is when you're looking at the pin numbers, that's the part that I was getting stuck on. I had a few pins that were incorrect. So it'll tell you 7 and 8, you know, connect 7 and 8, and it tells you exactly which pin number, but you have to look at the plug and find the actual pin numbers. Because if you look at the picture, it seems one way, you know, like if you're looking here, if you're looking through the back, you kind of figure, okay, 7 and 8, but it's flipped. So I had everything flipped. But if you look at the plugs, it's really, really small, but you can see that they're numbered. It'll tell you 1, 7, it'll have the pin numbers on there. So if you get stuck on the plug that you're looking at, make sure to turn it around, look on the inside. It should show you somewhere the pin numbers. Make sure those match up, and you won't have any problems. So I just wanted to say again, clear that part up, that this is for the people who are installing the OEM Mopar kit. If you buy the kit, it comes with the instructions. I didn't feel the need to explain every single step, even though I was going to. It didn't really happen that way because I got frustrated, but follow the instructions, avoid the mistakes that I made, and you should be fine. But if you're doing this project and you get stuck, please feel free, leave a comment down below. I would love to help you out. But as far as all that Uconnect stuff, I'm over it. It's done. Backup camera's working. The Apple CarPlay is working. I can make phone calls, Bluetooth. It's working great. So today we have another project. Hopefully I have enough time to get this done, but let's see what we have. So today, finally, we're going to attempt to install these 5th gen Ram tail lights on my 4th gen. Now these don't necessarily bolt right up to the truck, but if you get them from a 2500 or a 3500, those actually have the same bed as our 4th gen, so they should work. Physically they go in perfectly fine, but the wiring is different. So once again, Ram Forms came to the rescue. Roman was able to get me going with this harness and provide some instructions for it. It's still a little unclear to me what I have to do. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure once I get in there, start tearing things apart, I can figure it out. But as far as the harness, I mean, it's great quality. It looks very OEM. So I'm really excited to get these things going. Unfortunately, there's some more pinning. I was hoping to avoid that, but I think by now I'm an expert with it, so shouldn't be too bad. So with the tailgate dropped, I'm just trying to make sense of this harness. It looks like one side runs to one tail light, and on the back of the tail light we have a bigger plug up top, smaller plug on the bottom, bigger plug, smaller plug, and then it adapts to the new 5th gen tail lights. And then we have the other side, same thing. And I know that routes to the front along the driver's side frame rail. So I'm just going to try to follow this same path that this harness comes from. So I'm going to try to reach to the bottom, pull the harness out through here, and along the way I'm just going to zip tie it and try to find ways to secure it, get everything secured in place. But yeah, we'll see how this works. All right, so we have this side coming out through here, and then you already saw that side coming out. So if you look on the bottom, this is the only part that we have left. That's going to route to the front. But if we go under the truck, so it is recommended that you remove the spare tire. It'll just make things way easier. It was recommended to me, and I can see why now. I'm keeping everything real loose right now just because I want to make sure I have enough slack. This is going to go all the way to the front. You could see the factory harness here. This black harness is from the backup camera. I still have to go back and snip all these, but it looks like I'm going to have to run some more all the way through. So I'll probably just zip tie all this together, run some new zip ties, and then clip off the old ones just so everything's a little bit cleaner. So you can see up here where the old harness runs, up there to that hole. This is the new harness, so I'm just going to zip tie it to this. It runs over and out on this side. So all this is going to get zip tied together to this existing harness. Goes all the way to the other side, over that rail, follow along here, and the same way routes up, and you'll see the hole where it's supposed to go, out where the tail light is. So once again, I'm keeping everything very loose right now. I want to make sure I have enough slack. So I'm going to start running this all the way to the front, zip tie it, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, so I got these routed up from the bottom. I don't have any fender well liners so at the moment, so it makes it a little easier for me. But everything's ran. This is the boot. It's gonna go back there on the clutch block off plate. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. Now I think it'd be best if I were to remove it, but I'm gonna attempt to leave it on and just drill right in the center and then slowly make the hole a little bigger. I need to get it about an inch for this boot to go through, so I'd much rather do it that way than have to take it off. It'd be kind of a pain, so we'll see if we can get that done. There's 2 screws in the bottom. I'm gonna remove this panel here, see if it'll make accessing the BSM a little bit easier. So hopefully that'll help. So I was just gonna try to drill it while it's in place, but it seems simple enough to get to. So I'm gonna use a 15mm socket with a combination of extensions, and it looks like this should come right out. Sweet. Now we just got to drill this thing out. Should be about 1.25 inches. Start small, go a little bigger. I don't have any clamps unfortunately, so kind of had to get creative with the vice grips. Hopefully that works. I don't have a big enough drill bit, so I'm gonna use the Dremel and kind of just melt this plastic away. And there you go. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, I got the plate mounted back on. So let's just route these wires through. Hard to do with the camera, but just route those wires through, get that boot secured, and then we can get to the wiring. It's going to be really hard to film this, so I'm just going to show you where the BCM wiring is. If you look underneath the driver's side dash, you're going to see this big white plate right here, and there's going to be 2 plugs we're going to have to access, we're going to have to remove so that we can pin the new wires in. I'm going to try to show you a diagram, but that's where it's at. It's a little hard to get to. I already know it's going to be a pain, but let's see what wires we're looking at. I found this diagram online, but this is pretty much the plate, what it looks like. You're going to have a bunch of connectors on it. The 2 that we're going to need to get to is the C5E, which is this one right here, and then the C6F, which is the one right next to it. So we're going to have to remove those 2 plugs, add the pins on, and I'm sure that'll be fun. So just as I thought, that was a huge pain to get to. There's 4 wires that need to be wired to the BCM into those 2 plugs. There's a left turn signal, right turn signal, and then there's 2 fault sense wires. And I mean, it's really hard to show you what I'm doing. I'm just going up based off of some info that I found online and some diagrams that I found online, and hopefully this works. I still have to do some testing, but right now what I'm going to do is get the lights installed, and then once those are installed, we're going to have to do some programming in the Alpha OBD, enable some features, and hopefully we can get this thing to work. So for now, I guess we can put those lights on. So with the old tail lights removed, you can see these are the 2 old connections. We're just going to plug those in to the new harness, and then this side goes to the new tail light. So you can see a little before and after. I'm super excited for this part. I've been staring at these things for a long time now. They've just been sitting in a box in my room. So today they're finally going on. Man, check these things out. They may not look like much, but I'm not a big fan of those crazy aftermarket looking headlights. So these give it a nice original look, definitely updated. So I really like them. Pretty sure I'm going to tint them later on, but for now I just want to get them working. So let's get inside the truck. I'm going to play around with some settings, and I'll let you know what it took to get this thing figured out. Okay, so it's been a few days now. I ran into some problems, unfortunately. After I installed the tail lights, right away everything seemed to be working correctly, but on the right side the turn signal wasn't working right. Well, it wasn't working at all, and took a little while to figure it out. But basically one of the connectors on the BCM wasn't seated properly. So once I kind of removed that and made sure that it was seated correctly, fastened the little latch on it, and finally that was working. But after that, even though everything worked correctly on the outside, I was getting bulb out messages on my cluster. So I mean, I tried everything. I tried all the settings in the Alpha app, and I could not get those things to clear. I even tried disabling the DTCs in the back, and I thought that would work for sure, and I still got an error message. So it took a while. I was already about to break down and install resistors. I did not want to do that. But as I was going to do that, I was looking at the harness in the back, and I realized that 2 of the wires, the fault sense wires, were crossed. They were on the wrong side. So once I realized that, I went back to the BCM, I unpinned the wires, switched them over, and what do you know, that worked. Everything's working now. I'm happy to say it's working 100% like it's supposed to, just like the 5th gen Rams. So I'm really excited about that. No error messages, nothing. They look great. Everything works awesome. So I want to just kind of give you a quick little walkthrough of what I did. I'll show you the settings and let you know what it took to get it all done. So just a quick rundown of how this all got connected. Everything back here is plug and play. With this harness, you're just going to connect to your factory connectors on the driver and passenger side. It's going to route down along the frame rail on the driver's side all the way to the front. Then you're going to come into the engine bay. Wires came out through here. That's the hole that I drilled on that block off plate. That gets routed inside, looks nice and factory. Excuse the mess. Those 4 wires are going to come down from the back, from the hole we drilled. You'll see them just hanging there. And those 4 wires are going to go into the BCM. That's all it really is. After those wires are in place, it's just a few settings in the Alpha app, which I will go over. But let's take a look at some diagrams, and I can try to show you where those pins go. So as I already said, it's really hard to get a camera in there and show you what I'm doing, It's a really tight space to work in, but this is what you're looking for. Underneath the dash, you're going to see this, the BCM, and it's going to be a white plate, and you're going to have all these connectors on it. It's these two that you have to get to, the C5E and C6F. There's going to be one wire over here for the left turn signal, and there's going to be 3 over here, right turn signal, and then there's going to be the 2 fault sense wires. So what you're trying to do is take the 4 pins from the harness and put them in the proper locations on these 2 plugs, and the diagram will show you which wires those are. So if we take a look at this diagram, you'll see the left turn signal is going to go on pin number 3 on the C5 connector. That's the only one you have to worry about on that one. And then on the C6 connector, you're going to have pin number 42. That's the right turn signal. And then you have pin number 27 and 31, and those are your fault sense wires. So the problem that I was having was I had everything correctly in the right spot, but 27 and 31 were crossed. So once I put those in the right location, everything worked like it should. So as long as you follow these directions, it should work correctly. So you can just take a screenshot of this. If you end up running the wires yourself, this is the locations that they have to be in. As far as settings go, these are the exact settings that I used in the Alpha app. The only difference from these settings is on the LED rear turn lamps present, I put no. I'm not sure why, but if you put no, you get the amber turn signals and the amber flashers and hazards. And that's the way the 5th gens are. If you put yes on those, on that setting, you're going to get red flashers, red hazards. You're still going to get the amber turns, but I wanted it to function like the 5th gen, so if you put that to no, that should work correctly. Just a couple of things to note. These trucks, for some reason, the BCMs are super picky. Depending on your model, you may or may not be able to get away with these exact settings. Some people seem to get away with just enabling like 1 or 2 settings and they're fine. But if you enable all of these, you should be fine. Just know that it might be different on your truck. The other thing is you need to double and triple check your wiring. Make sure everything's in the right place. It's super easy to put something in the wrong place. I mean, I checked my work over a dozen times and somehow I still missed it, but thankfully I finally got it. The last thing is make sure that your connectors are secure, they're fastened in place. Otherwise, you're not going to get the proper connection. You just, give it a little shake, give it a little wiggle, make sure that it's seated properly. But that's enough talking. Let's see these lights in action. That's it for this video. Another mod checked off the list. I have a huge project coming up very soon. I'm gonna be doing my whole interior. as well as a full sound system. So you don't want to miss out. There's going to be a lot of good stuff in there. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Help me to grow this channel. I'll see you all on the next one.